Good morning, friends. Welcome to my channel Arise Awake. To begin with, sayings of a great philosopher Swami Vivekananda, he said, "Education is a manifestation of perfection already in man." With these blessings, we will start today's class. Today's class is Communication Part 4: Barriers to Communication. So, barriers means anything which is disturbing the communication. So if we say in Hindi, rukavat, in Telugu we call it as addankulu. So anything which which gives trouble and the problem in communication is called barriers to communication. My dear friends, communication is very important part in our corporate life as well as personal and professional life. Dear friends, there are 5 types of barriers which will be make rukawat in the communication. So they are physical environment barrier, then we have semantic barrier, we have cultural barriers, then we have psychological barriers, and we have perception barriers. So friends, today we will go, as I said, there are 5 different barriers which will stop us to make effective communication. So always we have to think of these barriers to communication. My dear friends, physical barriers and physical environmental barriers, they caused by time, place, space, climate, noise, choice of medium, etc. So these physical barriers, as I said, it all depends upon, say for example, the time. So maybe for example, a boss calls us after the office time. So definitely that is a time barrier. So at that time your mood will be different. So your understanding of the message will be in a different. So that makes a lot of difference, my dear friends. So whenever we are giving messages to the subordinates, so we have to see the timings at what time we are sending a message. It should be official time. That is one example which causes barriers, matlab rukawat aa sakti hai. So my dear friends, so always take care you and the place and space. So from which climate you are sending a message at that time. So it all depends upon So this is called as a physical barriers to the communication. Okay, my dear friends. Moving ahead, we will go to the next barrier is semantic barrier. So it is for example, semantic means here the logic in the language. Say for example, in a different place or in a different professional, will have, say for example, liars will have the meaning of word in a different way. The science students will be having a meaning of a word in a different way. So for example, I'll take students will be talking in the buses. So destination and the last bus stop, both are the same meanings only. Destination means the bus is traveling from a place 1 to a place 2. So that is a destination to up to where the bus travels. So somebody will ask the last stop. is also the same meaning, and destination is also a same meaning, but the wording is destination is gives a different meaning, and last stop is also gives a different meaning. If you so that is called the semantic. So the different people will understand the word in a different way. Okay, my dear friends, semantic is a logical and the language difference. So whenever we are speaking to communicating with our subordinates, so we should be take care of the language and the logic. We should talk in the logic or the language they understand. So we are also have to use the same thing. Okay, my dear. So moving forward, my friends, cultural barriers. Cultural barrier is also the third barrier in effective communication. It will be caused by diversity of cultures, the belief, the values, the way of life, etc. See, in one culture, the values may be different, the beliefs are the different. So, we being in diversified country, we are living in a diversified country. Every culture has a different meaning, belief, values, the way of life. So, my dear friends, cultural barrier also plays a very important role in effective communication. So always be cautious. Say maybe, you know, for example, the belief in one culture will be different for one aspect, and the same belief will be different in other culture for the same aspect. So my dear friends, cultural barriers depends upon, we have so many cultures. Global culture is different. We have, like, we call it as an EPRG, ethnocentric, ethnocentric, polycentric, regionocentric, and polycentric. So these are all different kind of cultures which will come in national and international business when we do. So dear friends, culture is also very 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 important part of effective communication, my dear friends. Say for example, in one culture, eye contact would be uh, thought as a good thing. In a different culture, if you have eye contact, they will think in a different way. So depending upon the culture, the belief, the values, it all depends, my dear friend. So always be careful of the other culture with whom we are interacting. So it would be better, so what their culture, it is good to know the culture with whom we are interacting and working with. My dear friends, moving forward, now we are the fourth barrier of communication. It is psychological barrier. Psychological barrier, it all about the moods, attitude, the relationship, etc. So in a effective communication, the psychological barrier is also a very important. So whenever we are communicating, so the message, it all depends upon the mood. Say for example, if you had a telephone conversation with your boss, probably boss was not in a better mood. So the he might have some problem the other side. So when you call, so maybe he has not, even you think that he has not responded properly. So it all means that it all depend upon the mood, even the attitude also very important. My dear friends, attitude here is a behavior. So behavior should also shows us as a affect the communication. So we should always take care of the attitude, and it all depends upon the relationship with whom, what kind of relationship we have with the other person where we are communicating. So psychological barrier is also a very important uh, in effective communication, my dear friend. Moving forward, my dear friends, we are the fifth communicate barriers to communication, that is perception barrier, means the way in which something is understood. My dear friends, see, in perception means in Hindi we call it as anubhuti. So anubhuti, I mean, like, for example, if something is happened there, so different people will understand it in a different way. The perception means anubhuti, the understanding in which something is understood. So I understood that incident in one way, the other person will understand the incident in other way. So it all depends upon perception to perception. So different people may have a different perception, my dear friends. So perception barrier means the way in which the message, for example, you have given in one way, so somebody may understand in the other way. So that is, we call it as the way in which something is understood. So always, whenever we are communicating, so we should be take care of the meaningful sentences to be prepared and communicated, because different minds will have different perception on that, my dear friends. So dear friends, so we were talking about the barriers to communication. So barriers to communication, as I said, so physical, then we have semantic, we have cultural barrier and psychological barrier and perception barrier. So these are all the five. There are other barriers as well to the communication, my dear friends. So anyhow, so we always take care of cultural barrier and semantic barrier. So most important is semantic, because semantic is like, the language, the logic we use whenever we start talking or writing or communicating in different way. So always be careful of the words and the logic we are using behind the communication, my dear friends. Cultural is also very important, my dear friends. Cultural, different people will, because India is a diversified country, there are hundreds of cultures, beliefs, values. So always, be careful of this cultural barrier whenever you are communicating within the public or in the organization or subordinates, my dear friends. So hope we understood about the barriers to the communication and effective communication. My dear friends, I'll give you a message. No communication is perfect. I think I had given in the earlier videos that we should do the perfect. I think there is no perfect communication. It is called as an effective communication, because different people will take it in a different way. So the 100% perfectness will never come in the communication, because we are dealing with a different kind of peoples. So my dear friends, so this will be the the barriers to the communication. So we'll make another simpler video. Thank you very much, my dear friends.